Hi, I'm Shane Kohler, creator and founder of The Living Relationship. Here, my fiance and I work together to bring you conscious relationship advice and resources. In today's video, we're talking about toxic relationships. So what is a toxic relationship? What does it mean to be in a toxic relationship? Most people who are in one don't even recognize that they are. In fact, toxic behavior for many people has become so normal that we can't even see it for what it is. Throughout many of our lives, toxic behavior in our families, with our parents, has become so normalized and so accepted that we don't even recognize toxic behavior when we see it. In fact, many people who are in a toxic relationship will be the first ones to justify it and excuse it and even defend it to their friends and family. In dating, toxic behavior is so normalized that it's just accepted as part of the game, and it's laughed at and even joked about. You see, we usually don't expect too much from relationships. We expect too little. And because we don't know what to look for, we don't always recognize something we don't want when we see it. Now, toxic behavior is insidious, and the hardest time to see it is when you're in the middle of it. So that's why we've put this video together, because no matter how good of a person you might be, it can happen to anyone. Anyone can get caught up in toxic cycles. And if you don't know what to look for, you won't see it when you're in it. So we made this video to identify the 4 most common toxic behaviors. So when you see them, you'll recognize them and you'll never fall for them again. Before we get started, please subscribe to the video. Thanks so much for watching. Really excited to get started on today's video. So let's go ahead and dive in. So number 1, the first toxic behavior you need to look for and identify is that in any disagreement or any relationship conflict you might have, a toxic partner will always turn it around on you. Now, we're not saying that your partner will never point things out to you. Of course, in a relationship, your partner is going to know you better than anyone else. And if they see something you can improve or work on in the relationship, of course you would want to know because they know you better than anybody does. But in a toxic relationship, this looks very different. Whenever you bring something up, a concern, an insecurity, a doubt, something you want to work on, they will immediately turn it around on you and make it your fault. You see, they don't approach these things like a discussion, like a conversation where you could get to know each other better and learn better and grow together. They immediately turn it into an attack, and they somehow make it your problem that whatever is happening in the relationship is happening. The thing here is that they will never accept accountability for their own actions. They'll never look at it and say, yeah, I could see my part in that, or I could see how I did it. They will always want you to do that. They'll always turn it around on you. You might say something like, this made me feel insecure and I wanted to talk to you about it. And they would immediately say, well, that's something you need to look at. Those are your insecurities. That has nothing to do with me. Rather than acknowledging, I can see how my action, I could see how what I said, I could see how what I did could have impacted you and made you feel insecure. And I want you to feel safe, so I can work on that. Rather than acknowledging it and owning it, they will immediately make it your fault. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't have an insecurity to look at. It doesn't mean that you don't have some possible work to do or an area that you could grow in. But rather than investigating that with you in an open way, they will immediately make it your fault and they will make you wrong for it. Even when they bring up valid points and they bring up things that maybe you should look at, that could be confusing because you'll think, well, those are really valid points. Maybe I should look at that. But the point is not that they don't have valid points. It's that they invalidate your points. And somebody who is constantly invalidating your experience in the relationship is disempowering you. In this way, they push you to always assess your own conduct, and they never assess theirs. That is not an equal relationship. That's not a partnership, and you can never feel safe in the relationship. That person will always attempt to maintain the upper hand and always attempt to maintain control. The second most toxic behavior to pay attention to is that in disagreements, they seek to attack you or hurt you. In a conscious relationship, disagreements are actually an opportunity for the couple to come closer together. It's through your disagreements and working through those disagreements together as a team that you create trust, that you create intimacy, that you create vulnerability. In a toxic relationship, disagreements are always used as a way to hurt you. They're always used as a way to attack you. And this is a fundamental rule that we do in all of our coaching. We say that no matter what the problem, no matter what the disagreement, things like personal insults, attacks, and name calling have no place, zero, in a conscious relationship. There is no excuse for that kind of behavior. No matter what the disagreement is, you can come together in an open and understanding spirit. But a toxic partner will use disagreements to disempower you. They'll tear you down. They want to make you wrong. They want to make you feel bad. They want to invalidate you. They want to disempower you so you feel bad about the disagreement. Similar to the first point, they want to make it your fault, but they take it even a step further. They insult you. They attack you. They call you names. In every disagreement, what they want you to do is they actually want you to feel so bad about the thing you said or the thing you did or whatever they're accusing you of. They want you to feel so bad about that you apologize and ask for their forgiveness. At which point they'll do one of two things. One, they'll either be kind to you at that point, reinforcing the idea that you should be weak in the relationship, or they will still hold it against you and they'll force you to walk on eggshells. They'll force you to tiptoe and in a way pander to them and pander for their forgiveness. And sometimes they'll do this for days or even weeks. The strategy here is that they withhold their love every time you disappoint them. So you end up in a cycle of constantly trying to please them. And that is incredibly toxic and incredibly disempowering. The third most toxic behavior that you need to pay attention to is gaslighting. Gaslighting is when somebody plants enough doubt in your mind that they make you question your own reality. They make you question what you know to be real and true. A toxic partner will do things like tell blatant lies or deny something that you know for a fact is true. They'll accuse you of things that they know that you didn't do. They will use things like your family or your children or your career, things that are near and dear to your heart. They'll use those things and twist them against you and make you feel guilty about those things. They'll tell you they're going to do something and then do the exact opposite. And they'll blatantly deny things that they have done that you know for a fact they've done. Keeping you on unstable mental and emotional ground gives them an upper hand in the relationship. It's by planting enough doubt in your mind that they can start to shake the foundation that you stand on, and then they can rebuild it in a way to have you see it the way they want you to see it. Usually in a way that leaves you feeling wrong or guilty about something. And then they can manipulate that guilt. They twist things that you say and you start to feel like you can't say anything right. They'll take things personally that you know you didn't mean to be a personal attack on them. They'll act hurt by things that you say and hurt by things that you do in an irrational way to try to manipulate your feelings of guilt. They do this kind of stuff so often that you start to question yourself, like, what's wrong with me? How could I not see that? How could I be so insensitive? I just must be a mess. How could I ever do that or say that? You constantly question what you're doing and saying and your thoughts and your actions. If this is happening, it has nothing to do with something being wrong with you. This is a manipulative tactic that toxic partners will use to maintain an upper hand and maintain power over you. This is probably happening if you feel like you're constantly walking on eggshells or you feel like you can't do or say anything right. The fourth and final behavior that you need to look out for is they tear you down and then build you back up. A toxic partner's goal is to keep you at your worst. Something you have to understand is that a toxic partner has an irrational need to have control over you. So your confidence, your worthiness, your power, and your freedom are threatening to them. If they see you being really high, if they see you being really happy, if they see you being really confident, that scares them because that means that you don't necessarily need them. They want you to only go to them for your happiness. So if they see you being high on your own, or if they see you being happy on your own, or fulfilled on your own, they'll seek to tear that down. You'll notice this is happening if you're in a relationship with someone where every time you're in a good mood, they say something like, "What are you so happy about?" They make a jab. Anytime you're up, they try to bring you down a little bit. Anytime you're high, they try to get you lower. They want to bring you down to their level. It's like the old saying, misery loves company. A toxic partner can't handle you being happy unless it's directly related to them, because they're afraid you might start going somewhere else for your happiness. So they won't like you to do a lot of things on your own. They won't like you going out with your friends or being involved in activities that don't involve them. If you have an interest that isn't related to them, they'll take jabs at it or they'll try to shoot it down. The idea is they want you to think that nobody else would want you, so you can only go to them. They want you to think that there is nothing else worth having in life except those things that are directly related to them. If they can get you to believe that, they will keep you forever. They want you to believe that the only way to get love is to be small. And so you'll feel like you're constantly needing to diminish yourself when you're around them. You'll feel like the only way to get their approval is to diminish yourself and make yourself small. This will feel good in the short term because you'll get the love you're looking for from them. But in the long term, you'll have a sense that your dignity is being taken away from you, because it is. In a toxic relationship, you'll feel like they are constantly bringing you down to your lowest, and only then do they give you the love and the affection that you're looking for. In truth, this is the only time they feel safe enough to give you love. It's like a reward system. They want to reward your smallness to reinforce the idea that that's how you're supposed to be. Now, there's something that's really important to address on this topic. Our intention is not to brand certain people as toxic. Most people are not bad people, but somebody who is exhibiting a lot of toxic behavior in a relationship simply has a lot of work to do before they're ready to have a mature relationship. And no matter how much you love someone, and I hear people say all the time, but I love them. No matter how much you love someone, it is never right to subject yourself to toxic behavior. You will never be happy. You will never be fulfilled. You will never feel respected and appreciated and honored. Sometimes they'll feel guilty for their toxic behavior and they'll acknowledge it and they'll apologize and they'll say, "Give me another chance and I'm so sorry and I don't want to treat you like that." But if they are consistently doing the same things over and over again, no matter how much they apologize, if they're not doing the work to overcome that kind of behavior, you can't expect to see a change in them. One of our most foundational teachings in our work we do is that you can never take somebody on what they say in a relationship. You can only take them on what they do. People will promise you the world. They will say everything. They'll promise to give you everything. But if they don't follow through with that, if they don't deliver on that, it doesn't matter what promises they make. If somebody promises to love and respect and treat you right, but they can't help themselves but engage in toxic behavior whenever there's problems, that person is not ready to give you what you want and what you deserve. We are drawing attention to these toxic behaviors so you can identify them, so you can see them for what they are. And if you are on the receiving end of toxic behaviors like this, don't stand for it. It will destroy your self-worth and your dignity. If you're in a relationship like this, there are no simple solutions to these kinds of challenges. But the first thing is to become aware of the situation that you're in. If you are in a situation like this and you would like to talk with us or get some insight or help into what you're going through, I'm going to leave a link below and you can schedule a session with us at that link. We'd love to speak with you. Also, I'd like to invite you to be a part of our conscious relationship community. Something we say often to the people we're working with is if you want to have something in life, you need to surround yourself with people who have that or are working on having that same thing. If you want to have a healthy relationship, but all of your past relationships have been toxic, and you had toxic parents, and a lot of your friends and family members are in toxic relationships, if that's all you see and that's all you know, how could you ever expect to have healthy relationships? That's why we created the Conscious Relationship Community. It's for people like you, people who want to have amazing relationships. I mean, I'm talking relationships better than you ever even imagined were possible. We created a community of people who are working on that together, and we're sharing our insight, our skills, and our strategies with them so they can work together on having that. This community is incredibly supportive, it's beautiful, and it's the best place to be if you want to have a conscious, loving, and committed relationship. Joining the community is absolutely free, and by joining, you immediately get access to all of the resources that we offer there. So I'm going to leave a link below where you can join that community as well. Thank you for watching today. My name is Shane Kohler. I created The Living Relationship. My fiance and I together work to bring you a conscious approach to dating and relationships. I really appreciate you being with us today. Make sure you subscribe to the channel before you jump off. We're bringing out new content all the time, and I hope to see you in our Conscious Relationship community.